while ago on my Instagram, I asked you guys what questions you had for me about Locked In. I know everyone has done these videos, so I'm gonna try and answer questions people haven't really touched on yet. We'll start with this one. Is the entire day recorded or do you get downtime? The only time that you're not recorded is during lunchtime. You are not allowed to talk about anything in that time that could be content. So pretty much vaping, drinking alcohol, production, because you're not allowed to talk about production on screen. It was so annoying because you'd want to talk about like a challenge you'd just done and you'd be all hyped up about this challenge and you'd want to talk about it, and then they'd be like, nope, no talking about content, and then they'd be like, okay, we're gonna leave now, you can talk about content. By that point, I've lost the momentum. I've lost all of the pizzazz. I didn't have much pizzazz whilst I was in the house, so for me, when I had it, I had to run with it. Question number 2 is, how was it trying to find time to yourself? Was there much time to be with yourself? The answer to that is no, unless you're showering. And even then, like, sometimes the girls, we would just like chat and stuff whilst we were in the bathroom. There's no time to yourself. And I found that so difficult because I'm somebody who likes to have time to myself. I'm not like a very loud, extroverted person. So I like to just have my alone time. And that was tricky for me. A good question to follow up from that is, how did you manage your mental health whilst you were in there? I found that difficult. I think because I was quite like physically ill when I was in the house, I was feeling quite low. Medic Gary was great. They were really good that I knew if I was feeling too low, I could just go to the storeroom and say to Sugar, I need a minute, or like, can I speak to someone or anything like that? And they would bring somebody in instantly. You did have to lean on your housemates whilst you were in there. And I'm a talker. Like, I talk about my problems. If I've got a problem, I just talk about it. I find it really hard to keep that in. When I was having a good day, I would also vocalize that. Probably not best to put your problems on 9 complete strangers, but you had to. There was nothing else to do. You just had to rely on these people around you. A lot of people, when I came out, were like, oh, like they clearly get their phones, they're posting whilst they're in there. We were not allowed our phones. We were not allowed technology. We weren't allowed to know the time. So how did I post such good content when I didn't have access to my phone? Was my amazing PA Sean, my sister helped as well. They were great. When I came out and I saw how much they'd been posting and all the clips they'd done, I thought that was amazing and I'm very grateful to them. It was hard giving your like career over to somebody else just to run and not being able to see how it goes. But yeah, you just had to trust them. Next question is, was it awkward to sleep with a lot of people in the same room? And I thought this was gonna be the weirdest thing. Like, I'm not gonna sleep for however long I'm in there. It's gonna be hell and horror. I don't know, obviously I kicked Danny out of his bed on day 1. I was next to Ash and then I had like a wall. Although the wall next to me had a lot of the season 3 castmates' faces on the walls. So when I went to sleep and when I woke up, Grace would be, I think she was a picture of like her grabbing a tit, and there was a picture of Max on there, and it's like, I don't want to be waking up to Max guitar in the morning. Do you know what I mean? But I had a wall, then I had Ash, so I felt quite comfortable in that space. It was surprisingly chill. The episode where you and Casey had a secret challenge, were you genuinely crying? This is a tricky one because I cried every day. So probably, yeah. And I didn't cry because I didn't want to be there. I didn't suspect Casey at all. I thought it was Danny and George that had the secret challenge to mess up. Turns out they just wanted to mess up. At one point, what they cut out, you've got the part where Danny was throwing cereal into Casey's mouth, but what you didn't see, he just poured the cereal all on the floor. And I was like, brilliant, fabulous. I am fighting a losing battle here. I cannot keep that tidy. If it was for luxury items, I probably would have tried harder, but because it was for gym equipment, I'm fine with the gym equipment we have. Like, I'm doing what I need to do. I was just running around the garden. I was like a little rabbit, just like running around my pen. Was I genuinely crying? Yes and no is the answer to that. I am so bad at lying. I just had to turn my nerves from lying into acting like I was angry. I was like shaking because I was nervous, and then I'd be like, look how angry I am. But Casey knew what she was doing and she targeted the ones that would just go for it. But then when Danny was like, even if it is a secret challenge, just let her win her luxury item, I was like, oh, Danny. Okay, what couldn't you bring in the house? Did they give you a list of what to bring? Bambino Becky told me, empty out a shampoo bottle, fill it with vodka, and just take that in, because they don't check your shampoo or anything like that. Part of me wishes I'd done it. But like, me in the shower by myself and just being drunk and nobody realizing, it screams alcohol, well, screams Bambino Becky, doesn't it? And then your luxury item, which I didn't even get in the end. When am I ever gonna use an iPod Nano again? Do you know, I spent so long carefully curating 100 songs to put on that to have for the 2 weeks for not even to get it. That was soul destroying. Did anything key happen that they didn't end up showing? There was a lot of things that you guys didn't see. You know, it's 24 hours they've got to fit into to 45 minutes to an hour. I hope that they put a lot of the stuff into the unseen bits because there's so much. I was gutted when I came out and there was so much stuff that I wish had gone in. For example, for me, working out is such a big thing for my mental health. So when we had the cycling day, I was dreading it because I was feeling really low in the morning. And then once I got on, I was like, I can do this, it's gonna be fun. When my teammates were on, I was trying to hype them up. We were singing songs, we were telling jokes, all of this, and I was having such a good time. And I was like, oh my God, this is such good content. Everyone's having such a good time in this room. And it didn't make the cut because silly old Danny Aarons, whilst all this was happening, was climbing the jail and asking to play noughts and crosses or something on the forehead of the security guard that was looking after him. What surprised you most about yourself being in Locked In? I'm a bit of a control freak. And when you're put in that house, the hardest thing for me was giving up all control. Like I said, you give up your social media to somebody else. You give up what you're wearing, like your wardrobe. I was surprised how much being in your own clothes and dressing yourself gives you a sense of like your identity. So as much as I enjoyed the clothes I was wearing most of the time, you lose that choice. What you're eating, you don't get to decide that. What you're doing with your day taken away, your time schedule taken away. Even though it's in that luxury sort of space, having those decisions taken away from you, you just have to surrender control. And I think coming out of the house now, I'm like, oh, okay, like I did that. So now maybe I can just relax a little bit. What was the first thing you did when you got evicted? I met Sugar Lips, absolute gem. Love her to pieces. She was the best. And then they got me a car, gave me my phone. When they gave my phone back, I was like, whoa, it's lighter than I remember. I really enjoyed not having my phone. But then, yeah, when I got out, the first thing I did in the car was call my mum. She was like, hello? I was like, it's me, I'm out. Got home, completely surprised my housemate. So I just knocked at the door and then like hid her way to the side and she like opened the door really carefully. I was a surprise. I slept the whole next day. It was insane, but it was nice. If I had to live with someone from Locked In, who would it be? It would just have to be Ash. I almost look up to Ash in a certain way, I guess. But she just like, when she walks in a room, she's so confident and she's just unapologetically her. It would have to be Ash. I think she'd be a great housemate. I think she'd always keep the mood happy. Even when she's crying, she's like laughing at the same time. It's a bit psychotic actually, but in like a good way. And the last question, who did you feel closest with in the house? I definitely felt closest with Ash. We would just talk about everything. And then when Joyce came back into the house, and again, I wasn't well, but I was really, really trying to like keep up this entertaining, like you have to be entertaining 24/7. I am not entertaining 24/7. Who is? She just gave me this massive talk and I just thought, God, like I really needed that. So that made me feel closer to Joyce. And then everyone else I felt pretty close to as well. I did feel like I was quite close to Star. We spoke about quite a lot like deep stuff. Now I feel kind of stupid saying that because he's gone on a podcast and said he found me annoying, but it is what it is. That is still the truth. I definitely felt I got closer to Tennessee as well as time went on because I was convinced she hated me for the first 4 days, but she didn't. I think we're just quite different people to start with. And then once we started talking and opening up to each other, I started to get a bit closer to her, which I loved. I think the reunion's gonna be interesting because I think when we were all in the house, everyone was very buddy-buddy, very friendly, trying to keep the peace. And now we're out of the house and little like cliques have started to form. It's bound to happen. You get put in the house with 10 strangers, you're bound to be drawn towards certain people. I thought, yes, even though you were drawn to certain people, that we were all quite close and quite friendly in there. Now I'm not sure. We'll see what the reunion's like. I'm actually gonna put this video out the same sort of time as the reunion. Keep an eye out for that as well. If you have any other questions, let me know in the comments and I'll try to reply to them. And all these questions are mostly from an Insta story that I did. So go and follow me on Insta because we'll be probably talking about it a bit more on there. And I will be doing some more videos coming up with my Locked In housemates, so keep an eye out for those. We've got a few exciting things booked in. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this and let me know if you've got any more questions.